The bottle of Cabernet clinked softly against the countertop as I set it down next to the envelope holding 2 movie tickets, front row, center seats for a 7:30 showing of that old noir film she loved. It had been one of those rare, quiet Fridays at work, the kind that feels like a gift. So I took the gift and ran with it, heading home early, imagining her face when she saw what I'd brought. The rain had stopped just before I pulled into the driveway. The air still held a post-shower chill, thick and still. Her car was there. Lights were on upstairs. Seemed like I timed it just right. The key turned, the door opened, and silence greeted me. Odd. No TV murmuring in the background. No music. Just quiet. A breath too calm for a house that was usually filled with small sounds. Shoes off, jacket draped over the hook, I stepped inside. I didn't call out. I don't know why. Maybe it was the quiet. Or maybe it was the strange rhythm I began to hear from above. Soft, irregular thuds, and, beneath them, muffled laughter. Not hers alone. No, 2, 3 voices. Male. And hers, unmistakably hers, warm and breathy, then. A moan. A long, slow, stretched-out moan that didn't sound anything like pain. My stomach turned. But I didn't rush. I didn't even breathe hard. I just walked slowly, deliberately, past the staircase and into the kitchen. I set the wine on the counter next to the tickets. I looked at them for a moment, then turned back to the stairs. Every step I took, I thought, please let this be wrong. Let me be insane. But the sounds, they made that impossible. More laughter. More of her voice in that tone I hadn't heard directed at me in months. Maybe years. It sounded like play. Like sex, joyfully guiltless. I didn't sneak. I didn't hesitate. When I reached the top of the stairs, the hallway was humid, thick with warmth and steam. The bedroom door was open. The in-suite shower was running. The glass was fogged, but light spilled out in golden slants through the mist. I stepped forward and stopped. My heart didn't shatter. It calcified. Through the opaque glass, I saw them. 3 bodies. Hers pressed between 2 men. One behind, one in front. Steam clung to their skin. Her moans floated like a song. Her hips moved with theirs. Fingers trailed down her back. She was loving it. Completely. Unapologetically. Landon's laugh was the giveaway. That same stupid, lopsided chuckle I'd known since we were 10, when we snuck beers from my dad's fridge and threw rocks at old road signs. And the other one, broader, darker, Tyler. My old college roommate. The guy who once passed out drunk on our couch for a week after his breakup. The one she used to say was a little too smooth. Apparently not too smooth to slide inside her while my best friend filled the other end. My hands didn't shake. My voice didn't waver. When I knocked once, just loud enough for all 3 heads to turn, it was like I pressed pause on a porno. Her eyes met mine. And widened. Her mouth parted. Tyler's hands dropped from her hips. Landon slipped back. They all froze, like some mythological painting caught in mid-sin. Shame hadn't arrived yet. Only shock. I stepped into the bathroom, steam curling around me like ghosts. The heat slapped my face, but I didn't blink. I looked each of them in the eyes. Her first. Then Tyler. Then Landon. And I smiled. Slow. Cold. Measured. I was hoping, I said, you'd be open to this. The silence was a weapon. I let it stretch. I brought wine, I added, glancing at the counter just beyond the door. Tickets to that more film you like. But this. I looked back at the 3 naked bodies tangled in confusion, sweat, and my shower. This is new. Tyler's mouth opened. No sound came out. Landon stepped out of the shower, water still dripping down his chest, as if getting dressed would fix anything. My wife just stared, mouth trembling, water clinging to her collarbone like tears. I gave her a half shrug. Don't stop on my account. I'm curious how this ends. I left the room before any of them could speak. Walked down the stairs. Poured a glass of the wine I'd brought. Then I sat at the table. And waited. They came down like ghosts, toweling off, damp hair clinging to foreheads, still flushed from the heat and what had come before. You'd think they'd be more ashamed. Maybe one of them even thought about apologizing. But the dominant emotion in the room was confusion. They didn't know what I was doing. That scared them more than rage ever could. Tyler stood by the island, shirtless, arms crossed awkwardly like he didn't know what to do with them now. Landon hung back, pulling at the edge of his hoodie, eyes darting to the door. My wife, Emma, stood in her bathrobe, arms tightly folded over her chest. Still wet. Still beautiful. Her cheeks still flushed from the sex. I didn't offer them wine. I sipped mine. So, I let the word float into the room like a slow leak. Is this new? Or has this been going on for a while? Emma opened her mouth. I held up a hand, stopping her. Actually, don't answer that. I don't think I care. Tyler cleared his throat. Look, man, we didn't. I cut him off with a smile. The same one that made Emma squint slightly, trying to read my mood. You think I'm mad? All three were silent. But honestly, I said, pacing slowly toward them, I'm intrigued. Shocked, sure. But I've always been curious what you'd all look like in a lineup of regret. I let the tension hang, then added lightly, you know, there are whole communities for this kind of thing. Open relationships. Polyamory. Hell, threesomes are practically mainstream now. Landon blinked. Wait. Are you saying you're okay with this? Emma flinched. It was the first real crack in her mask. Her expression twisted between guilt and disbelief. She didn't expect me to be calm. She expected yelling. Accusations. Not approval. I leaned against the counter. I'm just saying, if you wanted to explore this kind of thing. I glanced at her, letting my eyes trail down her damp form before turning to the other two. You could have talked to me. Might have even been fun. Tyler took a cautious step forward. Are you serious right now? I mean, why not? I replied, voice smooth. Clearly, you're all into each other. Might as well take advantage of it. Emma looked like she'd swallowed broken glass. What are you doing? What do you mean? This performance. She gestured at me, robe clutched tight around her like armor. You come home, catch me like that, and now you're cool with it? I held her gaze. Maybe I'm just more open-minded than you thought. Landon scratched his neck, clearly uncomfortable. Look, this wasn't planned. It just happened. I nodded thoughtfully. The heat of the moment. Steam, skin, shared nostalgia. I get it. Tyler shifted, not quite sure if I was mocking them. Honestly, I added, I think you all looked good together. Natural, even. Like you've done it more than once. Nobody answered. Emma's lips parted. Are you angry? Do I seem angry? You don't seem anything. Exactly. I took another sip of wine, letting the silence do the work. The power in that moment wasn't in yelling. It was in restraint. They didn't know what I was thinking. That made them nervous. Good. I mean, I continued, my voice now slightly amused, maybe next time, we plan it better. Maybe I join in. Landon choked on nothing. Tyler stared like I just announced I was joining a cult. Emma whispered, what the fuck are you talking about? You want honesty? Transparency? Then let's make it official. Next time, invite me. We do it right. 4 of us. Wine. Music. No surprises. You're not serious. I met her eyes. Try me. The room was silent again. I could feel them unraveling. This wasn't how affairs were supposed to go. They expected chaos. Tears. An explosion. Instead, I'd handed them a chessboard, and they didn't even know the rules. I looked at Tyler. You were always the more experimental one in college. Emma mentioned that once. His brows knit. She said that. Oh yeah. I turned to Landon. She said you were more aggressive, but not quite as creative. Emma gasped. Stop it. What? I shrugged. Just being honest. I mean, if we're going to be a modern, open-minded, sexually progressive quartet, we should be able to talk about this stuff. Landon backed up a step. Tyler frowned. She told you that? I smiled, then turned to Emma. Didn't you? She said nothing. And with that seed planted, I let it be. No more. No less. Anyway, I said, draining my glass. I'll leave you 3 to figure out where this leaves us. But just know, I'm open. Curious. Excited even. Let's not ruin something that could be very memorable. I walked to the door. Before stepping out, I turned and gave them a final smirk. I'll let you know when I'm ready to play too. And with that, I left them standing there, naked, confused, and afraid they had just lost control of whatever twisted game they thought they were playing. But the game hadn't even begun. 3 days passed. Emma barely spoke to me. When she did, her voice was tight, like a string stretched to its limit. Tyler stopped texting entirely. Landon sent one awkward message. We need to talk. About everything. I didn't reply. The most delicious part? They didn't know where I stood, and I wasn't going to tell them. Not yet. Instead, I began playing a new game, when they didn't know they were already losing. It started with Landon. We grabbed drinks at the bar we used to frequent in high school, back when fake IDs and sloppy stories were all we had to worry about. He was fidgety the whole time, playing with his bottle label. Couldn't meet my eyes for more than a second. I never meant to disrespect you, man, he finally said. It just happened. Emma and I. Well, it started after that night at your place in July. You remember? That cookout. I nodded slowly. I did remember. I'd been grilling ribs while she laughed a little too hard at one of his stories. I had ignored it. That night, she said she was too tired for sex. I didn't question it. Tyler, I said, casually swirling the whiskey in my glass. He always had that thing for her, right? Since college. Landon stiffened. Yeah, I guess. But you're better, I said, keeping my voice smooth. That's what Emma told me. She said you satisfied her in ways Tyler never could. His eyebrows rose slowly. She said that, word for word. A pause. A small, satisfied smile at the corner of his mouth. Just enough. Then I leaned in slightly. But she still let him join. Don't you think that's generous? His smile faltered. I mean, I continued, voice thoughtful. If she was really that into you, why keep Tyler around at all? Landon's jaw tightened. He didn't answer. I didn't press. The seed was already there, buried under his pride, where it would fester. I patted his shoulder before I left. Just thought you should know. Transparency and all. Next, Tyler. He came by the next day, all nervous energy and forced casualness. I invited him in, offered him a beer, watched the way his eyes scanned the house, looking for signs of damage or maybe for Emma. She was at yoga, or so she said. Look, he began. What happened, it wasn't supposed to be anything serious. It was just about connection. Exploration. I didn't mean for it to get messy. Messy? I raised an eyebrow. Did something happen between you two? You and Landon? No. I mean, he hesitated. He's been distant lately. Weird. I gave a sympathetic nod. You know, I said slowly. Emma told me she only brought Landon into it because she didn't want to hurt your feelings. His head jerked up. What? Yeah. She said you were more emotionally fragile, that she didn't want to make you feel left out. So she invited Landon to keep things even. Tyler's lips pressed into a line. He didn't speak for a few seconds. Then, that's bullshit. I was the first one she kissed. Not Landon. That night at your Christmas party. He wasn't even there. Doesn't sound like that mattered to her. His nostrils flared. Look, I'm just the messenger, I said. She talks when she's nervous. I guess she figured I was cool with it now. Tyler stood. Thanks for the beer. Anytime, man. We're all adults here, right? He left without another word. 2 cracks. 2 separate fractures, running beneath the surface. All it would take was pressure. I turned my attention to Emma next. It was movie night. I cooked dinner. I chose her favorite wine. She wore a soft cardigan and no makeup, like she was trying to shrink herself into the version of her I fell in love with. It might have worked if I hadn't already seen her in the shower with my 2 oldest friends. She chewed quietly during dinner. We didn't talk about it. Not directly. I didn't need to. Instead, I leaned over the table and asked, so which one do you think would actually leave their life for you? She froze. What? If it became a thing, if you picked one, who would give it all up for you? Tyler or Landon? She swallowed hard. That's not what this is about. No. I tilted my head. Then why are they acting like rivals? They're not. They are, I said. Tyler's been texting more. Late-night messages. Landon's been dropping hints about how he connected with you in a deeper way. She looked down at her plate. They're both confused. Because of you. Her eyes met mine. You're in control here, I said softly. They think they're in love with you. She opened her mouth, then closed it. And you like it? No, she whispered. I reached across the table and brushed her hand with mine. It flinched under my touch. I'm not judging, I said. I just want to understand what you want. I don't know. Good. Let them fight over that. Let's see what happens when you stop choosing. She said nothing more that night. But she didn't sleep much, either. I heard her turning, sighing, whispering into her phone sometime after 1 a.m. The game was in motion now, and all I had to do was keep watering the seeds. By the end of the week, the cracks had widened into chasms. Tyler started texting her more often, short, passive-aggressive messages that always included phrases like, still thinking about the other night, and hope Landon's not keeping you too busy. Emma read them in bed, just a few feet away from me, clutching her phone like it might explode. She always angled the screen away. Landon, on the other hand, had gone quiet. Until he hadn't. The first message came Saturday morning. We need to talk. Just us. No Tyler. He's taking this too far. I didn't reply immediately. I let it sit. I wanted him to stew in that anxious little pocket where guilt and pride mix into something dangerous. Emma noticed the tension too. She began to retreat into herself, unsure who to appease, where to direct her attention. She tiptoed through the house, overly careful with her words. The thrill was wearing off. And now, the consequences had started to chew through her fantasy. That night, I struck again. After dinner, I poured us each a glass of wine and said, "Landon texted me today." Emma stiffened. "What did he say?" "Said Tyler's making things weird. That he wants to talk." She looked down into her wine. "Have they been talking to you?" I leaned back, swirling the glass in my hand. "Tyler said you were different with Landon. Like more emotional. He thinks Landon's trying to steal you." She blinked. "That's ridiculous." "Is it?" I asked casually. Landon said the same thing. "Only he thinks Tyler's just a jealous little boy." Emma's lips parted, but no sound came out. "Kind of flattering," I said. "Having them both trying to win you over. Like The Bachelorette, but steamier." "This isn't funny," she said, standing. I stood with her, voice low and smooth. "You chose this. You opened the door. Now they're fighting for a seat at your table. And you're acting like you didn't know what this would turn into." She crossed her arms. "They're adults." "No," I said. "They're men. And men don't share well." I walked out of the room and left her there, standing in silence. 2 hours later, Landon texted again. "Tyler said you're mad at me. That you think I overstepped." "That true?" I stared at the message, then typed slowly. "I don't think anything. But I'm starting to wonder if Emma regrets letting you both in." I left it at that. Simple. Ambiguous. Perfect. The next day, I invited Tyler over. We were halfway through a bottle of beer in the backyard when I casually dropped it. "Landon's been saying some interesting things about you." Tyler cocked his head. "Like what?" "That you're clinging too hard. That you're getting possessive." Tyler let out a sharp laugh. "That's rich coming from the guy who tried to pull her into his bed at 16. I feigned surprise. "He said that. Didn't he tell you? He's always had a thing for her. Even before you two were serious." I shook my head. "He never mentioned it." Tyler looked at me, his voice tight. "You should ask her who she called first that night she got drunk in Chicago last year." "It wasn't you." I said nothing. The air between us turned cold, despite the summer heat. And just like that, another crack splintered the surface. That night, Emma came into the bedroom holding her phone like it had betrayed her. "Tyler's being weird," she said. "He keeps asking why I'm being distant. If I'm choosing Landon." I set down my book, looked up at her slowly. "Are you?" "No. I don't know. I just wanted." She trailed off, struggling to finish the sentence. "What? A distraction?" I offered. "A thrill." "I didn't mean to. You meant every second in that shower." I cut in. "But now you don't like the aftertaste." She looked like she wanted to slap me. Or cry. Or both. I stood, walked over to her, and gently brushed a strand of hair behind her ear. "I'm not jealous," I whispered. "But I can see they are." Her breath hitched. That night, she didn't touch me. But she didn't text them either. She lay still in bed, eyes open, trapped in a maze she had designed and decorated, now realizing she didn't know the way out. The next few days, things began to unravel fast. Tyler stopped coming by. Landon started texting me more than her. Emma hovered in the middle, desperate to control the temperature of a fire she could no longer contain. I watched it all, quietly, calmly, feeding it little by little with the smallest, softest lies I could. Just enough truth to sound real. Just enough fiction to let them burn. Control doesn't come from shouting. It comes from listening. From knowing exactly what to say and when to say it. And more importantly, when not to say a goddamn thing. That week, I shifted the game into the next phase. No more waiting. No more planting doubt. Now I started harvesting it. I began with Landon. We met for drinks on Wednesday, just the two of us, like old times. I chose a quiet little bar tucked away behind a bookstore downtown. The kind of place where secrets like to be spilled. He was already 2 beers in when I arrived, his foot bouncing anxiously under the table. "Things are getting weird," he said without preamble. "She's distant now? Cold. Like she's ashamed or something." "She is," I said softly, nursing my bourbon. Not of what she did, but of how obvious she made it. He frowned. "Obvious? You didn't see it?" I leaned in. "Tyler's been bragging about it." "What the hell are you talking about?" "He said you were just a tag-along. That Emma only let you in because she didn't want to make him feel guilty. Called you the sympathy guest." Landon's eyes burned. "He said that. Word for word. And Emma didn't deny it. She just laughed. Said something about how you get too attached. Landon sat back, silent for a moment. She texted him last night. Oh, I know. He looked at me. Tyler sent me screenshots. Said he was checking to make sure I wasn't getting clingy. Landon scoffed. Unreal. I waited. Then I said, slowly, maybe it's time to start looking at what this really is, Landon. Not love. Not exploration. Just ego. Yours, his, hers. One of you is going to get left out in the cold. Make sure it's not you. He nodded, jaw tight. Before we left, I turned my phone on record. Just audio. Just in case. Landon vented. He cursed Tyler. He questioned Emma's loyalty. He even said, I don't think she'd care if we all vanished. She just liked being wanted. I saved that recording under a simple name, Landon_confession_1. Tyler was next. 2 days later, I ran into him at the gym. Planned? Of course. I knew his schedule better than he did. We spotted each other. Small nod. Then I offered a drink after his session. He hesitated, then agreed. Over protein shakes in the back lounge, I laid the next line. She's worried about you, I said. Yeah. Thinks you're too emotionally invested. He scoffed. That's rich. Landon said she called you pathetic. Said you're trying to turn a fling into a romance. Tyler set his drink down. Hard. She told me he's been pressuring her. That she's scared of how possessive he's getting. I tilted my head. Then why is she still seeing him? Tyler didn't answer. I waited a beat, then added, she told me she misses the simplicity of just you and her. That was a lie. But it was a beautiful one. Tyler leaned forward. Did she actually say that? She said it's getting too complicated. That she wishes it had stayed between you two. He smiled, just a little. Just enough. Good. I tapped my phone gently in my pocket. Recording again. Tyler began to open up, his frustrations with Landon, with Emma, with himself. He said, I don't think she loves either of us. I think she just likes the power trip. Another gym, filed neatly away. Tyler_confession_1. Then, Emma. The next night, I made her favorite, grilled salmon, rosemary potatoes, her go-to white wine. We sat on the couch, movie playing, silence thick between us. She finally broke it. They're falling apart. I nodded. That happens when you throw gasoline on old friendships. Her voice was barely audible. Do you think I ruined everything? I turned to her. No. I think you exposed what was already broken. She stared at her glass, her lip trembling just slightly. They keep texting me. Fighting. Asking where I stand. What I want. What do you want? Her eyes met mine. I want things to go back to before. I reached over, touching her hand. We can't rewind. But we can pretend. Just for a night. She blinked. What do you mean? Movie night. Just us. No phones. No guilt. She nodded. We watched. We drank. We laughed. Even, briefly. Then I leaned over, brushed her neck with a kiss, soft and slow. She turned toward me. Our lips met. But it wasn't passion. Not really. It was her clinging to something safe. Something known. I didn't stop her. Not yet. But I didn't take it further either. I wanted her confused. Wanting more. Unsure if I was slipping back into her arms or slipping away. When she fell asleep on the couch, I took her phone. I didn't need to guess her password. I already knew it. I forwarded her text with both Landon and Tyler to myself. Screenshots. Photos. Voice memos. Everything. I created a new folder on my hard drive. /control/. Inside, I placed 3 files. Landon_confession_1.mp3. Tyler_confession_1.mp3. Emma_texts_thread.pdf. The next step? Letting them all hang themselves. And maybe, just maybe, recording the sound of the rope tightening. We all got the invite at the same time. A mutual friend, Jared, the guy who always threw the obnoxiously low-key parties that somehow ended with someone passed out on the pool table and another crying in the bathroom. His birthday bash was always the unofficial summer reunion for our old crew. Emma got the message while brushing her teeth. Jared's doing his party next weekend, she said, toothbrush in her mouth. You think we'll go? I kept my tone light. Wouldn't miss it. She gave me a strange look, like she didn't trust the calm in my voice. She shouldn't have. Because this party? This was the stage. I spent the week stoking the fire. A few texts here, a few whispers there. To Landon. Emma said she's excited to see you. But don't make it weird in front of Tyler, yeah? To Tyler. Emma asked if you were still coming. I told her I'd keep Landon off her. To Emma. They're both coming. I think they're hoping to win you over again. She didn't reply. She knew it was spiraling, but she still believed she could control it. The thing about people who enjoy power is they're always the last to know when they've lost it. Saturday came. I wore a dark button-down, sleeves rolled to the elbows, just enough cologne to be noticed when I passed. Emma chose a tight, backless dress I hadn't seen in years. She was dressing for war. We arrived together, but I walked slightly ahead. Inside, the house was already loud with music and small talk. Everyone was there, the old college friends, the high school crew, co-workers that hovered around Emma like moths to a lamp. It wasn't long before I spotted Landon at the drink table, talking to a woman I didn't recognize. His eyes flicked toward us the moment we entered. He looked down quickly, then back up, then straight past me to Emma. Tyler arrived 20 minutes later. His smile was wide, his voice loud. Overcompensating. I watched the three of them all orbit each other from opposite corners of the room. No direct eye contact. Not yet. Perfect. I walked over to Landon. Careful, I said, handing him a drink. Tyler's already asking who she came with. He scoffed. I'm not playing this game. Oh, but you are. We all are. I left him with that. Then I caught Tyler outside, smoking. She's been watching you all night, I said. He blinked. Yeah, of course. You were always her favorite. Landon was just safe. He grinned. Just a little. Just enough. Then I walked up to Emma. She was laughing at something her friend Rachel said, but it sounded forced, tight at the edges. They're both here, she murmured. I smiled. I noticed. This is going to get bad. I tilted my head. Only if someone slips. And someone did. Around midnight, the music dipped and conversations turned more casual. That's when it happened. Tyler, drunk and too proud, finally cracked. We were all in the kitchen. A group of maybe a dozen people. Emma was at the far end, refilling a drink. Landon stood by the fridge. I was between them, talking to Jared about some nonsense, when Tyler's voice cut through the hum. You know what's funny? He said, glass in hand. Landon keeps pretending like this whole thing was mutual. Landon looked up. What are you talking about? Tyler stepped forward. You think she wanted you? You were a fucking consolation prize. She told me that night in the shower. Said you were just there. Landon froze. What did you just say? She was mine first, Tyler snapped. Always was. You were just extra. Landon's fist clenched. Bullshit. Oh yeah? Ask her who she came to first that night. Ask her who made her come first. The room went still. People were staring now. Conversations had stopped. Even the music seemed to fade beneath the weight of the moment. Emma's voice broke the tension. Both of you, shut up. But it was too late. The spell had broken. I stepped forward then, smiling just enough to make them both uneasy. Guess the shower wasn't big enough for all that trust, huh? Jared let out a nervous laugh. Rachel covered her mouth. Someone muttered, what the hell is happening? Tyler's face flushed. Landon looked like he wanted to swing. Emma just stood there, glass in hand, her eyes locked on mine. And in them, I saw it. Fear. Not just because her secrets were unraveling, but because she had finally realized she wasn't the one pulling the strings anymore. Later, when we left, the car ride was silent. No music. No words. Just the sound of her breathing, too shallow, too quick. I didn't say anything until we pulled into the driveway. Then I turned to her and said, don't worry. It's only going to get worse if you keep trying to fix it. She turned to me slowly. What are you doing? I leaned in, letting gravity do its thing. And I walked into the house, leaving her sitting in the car, alone, gripping the wheel like it was the last stable thing left in her world. The aftermath of Jared's party hung in the air like smoke after a house fire, lingering, acrid, impossible to ignore. Landon was the first to break. At 2:41 a.m., my phone buzzed. A text. Then another. Then a call. I let it go to voicemail. The first message. Bro. You up? The second. I need to talk. Seriously. She's fucking with her heads. Then the voicemail. Landon's voice was slurred, panicked. You were right. She's been lying to both of us. I don't know what I was thinking. I should have never touched her, man. I thought we had a thing. I thought she cared. But she used me. And Tyler's a psycho. He's been blowing up my phone since the party. He's threatening me, man. He paused, then added, quietly. I fucked up. I saved the message. Labeled it, Landon_breaking_point.mp3. The next morning, Tyler went silent. Nothing on social. No texts. Nothing. I wasn't worried. He'd come crawling soon enough. Emma, meanwhile, had started snapping under the weight of it. She stormed around the house with the energy of a woman trying to outrun something intangible. She cleaned things that didn't need cleaning, reorganized drawers, then tore them apart again. Her phone buzzed constantly, and she checked it every time like she expected a bomb. And I played the hurt husband. I kept to myself. Ate alone. Went to bed early, sometimes without saying a word. Not angry. Just cold. Distant. I gave her exactly what she had been so eager to chase, emotional absence. And she couldn't handle it. "Are you okay?" she asked one night, as I poured a drink. I didn't look at her. "Are you?" "I don't know." I nodded. "Makes sense." She hesitated. "Do you still love me?" I sipped the whiskey. Let the silence answer for me. A few hours later, she crawled into bed and pressed herself against me like a child looking for shelter in a storm. I didn't move. She whispered, "I miss us." Still, I said nothing. Let her sit in it. The next day, she cried in the shower. I didn't ask why. I already knew. By the end of the week, Landon sent me another message. "Tyler's lost it. He's saying I forced her. That I manipulated her into that whole thing. What the hell? I've got receipts, man. I didn't do anything she didn't ask for." She begged me. "You believe me, right?" I didn't reply. Instead, I forwarded the message to myself and saved it as Landon_defensive_mode.mp3. Saturday morning, Tyler finally cracked. He showed up at my door. Eyes bloodshot, hoodie damp from the rain, hands trembling. "I just need 5 minutes," he said. I let him in. He paced the living room like a stray animal. I thought she cared about me. I fucking loved her, man. And now Landon's twisting everything. Saying I pushed it. That I made it happen. I raised an eyebrow. "Didn't you?" His face dropped. "What? Make it happen?" "I didn't force anyone. She wanted me. She told me Landon was a mistake. That it should have just been us." I nodded. "Of course. She lied to me," he whispered. "But I still want her. Isn't that sick?" I said nothing. He slumped onto the couch and dropped his face into his hands. I don't know who the hell I am anymore. I clicked my phone's side button. Recording. Again. He spilled everything. All the texts. All the late-night calls. How she used to say I didn't see her the way he did. How she joked about how predictable Landon was. How she loved being the center of our little solar system. And now? He said she made him feel disposable. I smiled internally. That was the word I'd been waiting for. Disposable. I saved the recording as Tyler_collapse.mp3. That night, Emma approached me in the kitchen. Her hair was damp from a bath. Her eyes were rimmed red. She didn't speak at first. Then, softly, I made a mess. I leaned on the counter and looked at her. "No," I said. "You made a choice. It just didn't go the way you fantasized." Tears welled in her eyes. "They both think I'm playing them. Are you?" "I don't know anymore." I tilted my head. "Or maybe you liked it better when you had 2 men fighting over you instead of a husband who looked right through you." Her hand trembled on the counter. "I want to fix this," she whispered. "But only now that it's broken beyond recognition." She moved toward me. "Please. I need you." "No," I said. "You need someone." And they both stopped answering. She crumpled to the floor in silence. I walked upstairs. And in my study, I organized my files. Emma_begging.mp3. Tyler_collapse.mp3. Landon_defensive_mode.mp3. They were each unraveling. Alone. Isolated. And the only person who wasn't giving them what they wanted was me. Exactly as planned. I'd spent weeks playing surgeon, dissecting their bond, separating their nerves, slicing through the threads of loyalty so cleanly they barely felt the cut. But now? Now I was ready to stop pretending. Now I was ready to burn. It started with a message. An anonymous one. I crafted it carefully, pulled pieces from each of their text chains, clipped the audio snippets down to surgical quotes. I created a thread of fake screenshots, Emma's name, her profile pic, a group chat that never actually existed, but felt so plausible it might as well have. In this imaginary thread, Emma confided in a friend about how Tyler was too clingy and Landon too dull. How she only kept them both around for the attention. How neither compared to me. I sent the screenshots to both Tyler and Landon. No names. No context. Just a burner email with the subject line, "She said this about you." Within an hour, both of them responded. Tyler first. "What the fuck is this? Did she really say this shit about me?" I didn't answer. Then Landon. "If this is real, I swear to God I'm done playing nice." Good. Now they were ready. I waited 2 days. Let the tension simmer. Let their imagination spin and twist every word she'd ever said into a threat. Then I gave them a place to vent it. It was a Sunday afternoon, quiet, sunny, deceptive in its peace. Emma was out running errands. I texted both of them. I think we should all talk. Face to face. I want to clear the air. They agreed, separately. I didn't tell them the other was coming. I set it for 5 p.m. at our house. Neutral territory. Our old headquarters from back in the day. The place where we used to drink beers on the porch and talk about nothing. Now it was a war zone. Tyler arrived first. Wound tight, pacing. Is she here? He asked. I shook my head. Not yet. Landon pulled up 5 minutes later. When he saw Tyler through the front window, his eyes darkened. He stepped inside slowly, hands clenched. This wasn't part of the plan, he muttered. I just shrugged. Thought you both deserved answers. And then Emma walked in, bag of groceries in hand. Her face froze the moment she saw them both in the living room, sitting across from each other like ticking bombs. What the hell is this? She asked. We need to talk, I said simply. No. You tricked me. Sit, I said. And somehow she did. I let the silence stretch. Then I opened the laptop I'd placed on the coffee table. The screen glowed. A folder titled Truth sat front and center. I clicked. First, the audio from Landon. I don't think she'd care if we all vanished. She just liked being wanted. Then Tyler. She told me Landon was a mistake. She just wanted to feel like someone needed her. Emma flinched. Her eyes darted between them. What the fuck? Tyler whispered. Is this what you do? Landon hissed at her. Play us off each other? Emma's voice cracked. I didn't say that. I didn't mean it like that. You said all of it, I cut in. To each of them. About each of them. Behind each other's backs. Landon stood, his fist shaking. You told me he was stalking you. You told me she was scared of you. Tyler spat. I didn't. Emma's voice broke. You're twisting this. He's twisting this. No, I said quietly. I just held up the mirror. They both stepped toward her now, angry, betrayed, humiliated. You lied to both of us, Tyler said. Told us we were special. I was trying to fix something, she snapped. You don't understand it. You used us, Landon growled. Tyler stepped forward. Landon met him in the middle. I could see it building, the chest-to-chest tension, fist clenching, voices rising. Then Tyler shoved him. And Landon swung. It was quick, sloppy, angry. They crashed into the coffee table. The laptop flew off with a thud. Emma screamed. I stayed seated. Landon tackled Tyler. Tyler got one good hit in, busted Landon's lip open. Blood hit the carpet. I stood then, calmly. Enough. They didn't hear me. So I shouted it. Enough. They froze, breathing hard, faces red, hands shaking. Emma was in the corner, sobbing. Her mascara was running. Her voice was shaking. What the fuck is wrong with all of you? I looked at her. You happened. Then to Tyler and Landon. You can fight over her. Or you can realize you've both been nothing more than background noise in her little drama. I stepped between them. You want out? Walk away. They didn't move. So I added. I have everything recorded. Everything you've both said. You really want this to get messy, eh? That did it. Tyler grabbed his keys and stormed out. Landon spat blood onto the rug, gave Emma one last, unreadable look, and followed. The door slammed. The house fell silent. Emma sat on the floor, back against the wall, knees to her chest. Why did you do this? She whispered. I walked past her, paused in the hallway, then looked back over my shoulder. Because I needed you to feel it. Feel what? What it's like, I said, to lose everything one drop at a time. The house was quiet. Not the kind of quiet you live in, but the kind that lingers after something breaks. The kind that makes the walls feel heavier, like they've absorbed the screaming, the betrayal, the violence, and decided to keep it. Emma barely spoke for days after the fight. She moved through the house like a ghost, face hollow, lips cracked, always looking like she was about to ask me something but couldn't find the words. I didn't help her. I didn't offer comfort. I let her drown in her own silence. Tyler disappeared first, packed up his shit and left the state, or so I heard. Blocked Emma. Blocked me. Blocked Landon too, apparently. Vanished without even finishing the freelance contract he was working on. His ex-girlfriend posted a vague, some people don't change story on Instagram, so I'm guessing he crawled back to her, hoping to feel like a man again. Landon didn't disappear. Landon spiraled. I heard about the outburst at his job, drunk and ranting at a team meeting, shouting about how women just use you, and friendship is a goddamn lie. They gave him a leave of absence. When I bumped into Jared the week after, he said Landon was staying at his cousin's place and hadn't showered in 3 days. I said nothing. Just sipped my coffee and let Jared talk. Every so often, I checked the shared group chats we all used to be in. Dead. No updates. No memes. No inside jokes. Just empty channels filled with memories of a time when we were younger, stupider, and still believed that trust was default. Emma started trying again about a week later. She came into my office one night, wearing one of my old shirts, bare legs, no makeup, looking like the woman I met in college. Like the version of her that hadn't yet realized how intoxicating power could be. "I miss you," she said softly. I didn't look up from my laptop. "I want to talk," she added. "About us." I closed the screen, finally giving her my eyes. "There's no us, Emma. Not anymore." Tears welled up. "You're really going to throw away our marriage?" I smiled faintly. "I didn't throw anything. You dropped it. I just didn't pick it up." She came closer, knelt in front of me, hands on my knees. "We can fix this. Please. We can go to therapy. We can rebuild. I'll do anything." "Anything?" She nodded quickly, desperate. I leaned forward slightly. "Then sit in what you built." Her face twisted. "What does that mean?" I reached into the drawer beside me and placed a flash drive on the table. "This has everything," I said. "The recordings. The screenshots. The confessions. The texts. The timeline of your little affair, broken down day by day." She reached for it. I pulled it back. "It's not for you." She blinked. "Then who?" "It's for our lawyer." Her breath caught. "Tomorrow," I continued, "I'm filing." She looked like I'd shot her. "But we can fix." "No," I said sharply. "You can sit in this. In the mess you created with your need to feel desired. With your arrogance. With your fantasy of control." She backed away from me slowly. "You're not the man I married." "No," I said. "I'm the man you thought was too soft to notice you crumbling. The man you thought would always stay because he was too weak to leave." I stood and walked past her. Before I left the room, I added, "Turns out, you were right." I stayed. Just long enough to take it all apart. The next morning, I served her the papers. She cried. She begged. She followed me around the house like a puppy circling the legs of a man who no longer wanted to feed it. I didn't yell. I didn't gloat. I just handed her a second flash drive. "Landon gets one. Tyler gets one. This one's yours." "What's on it?" she asked, her voice shaking. "Everything you did. Everything they said. Every threat. Every lie. All in one neat package." "Why?" she whispered. "So you never forget how real it was." The next few days passed like molasses. Emma slept in the guest room. I slept like a king. The house felt bigger with her still in it, because her presence now weighed less than a shadow. By the end of the week, I'd moved the valuables, set up a P.O. box, opened a new bank account, transferred my salary, changed the locks on the lake cabin. I let her keep the main house for now. She needed a stage to perform her grief. Let her rot in the place she chose to ruin it all. A week later, I got a call from her dad. Said he didn't understand what happened. I told him to ask his daughter. Another week later, Landon showed up drunk at my doorstep, asking if we could talk. I closed the door in his face. And Tyler? He never resurfaced. Emma kept trying, kept texting, kept calling, kept leaving voice messages late at night where she sounded like the woman I'd once loved, soft, sorry, aching. I never answered. She broke me in the shower. I was just returning the favor. Divorce is a process designed to drain you slowly. Not just your money, your time, your patience, your memories. But in my case, it didn't feel like loss. It felt like cleansing. Emma didn't fight the terms. She tried at first. Wanted mediation, therapy, closure. But I'd already done the work she was pretending to start. I'd already closed the book. She was just trying to scribble something in the margins before I turned the final page. She got the house. I got the lake cabin, the retirement account, my dignity, and just over half the assets, thanks to her foolish digital footprint and a lawyer who knew how to use it. But the best part? She didn't get to control the ending. The day the paperwork was finalized, I dropped off 3 padded envelopes. One to Tyler's last known address. One to Landon's apartment. One to the house I once called home. Inside each, a flash drive. Each labeled with nothing more than a date, the day I walked in on them. Each containing the full story. The texts, the recordings, the photos, the timeline, and a final note. "You broke me in the shower. I returned the favor, drip by drip. I didn't leave my name. I didn't have to. I know they opened them. Landon texted me a week later. Just 4 words. You really did it. I didn't respond. He tried calling. I declined it. Emma left a voicemail that same night. Her voice cracked halfway through. I thought I could have everything. I thought they cared. I thought you'd never change. Then, after a pause, I was wrong. Yes. Yes, she was. I didn't answer. I deleted it. I wasn't cruel. I didn't leak anything to friends, to coworkers, to the internet. This wasn't about humiliation. This was about truth. Intimate, private, quiet ruin. They'd have to live with what they did, not because the world knew, but because they knew I knew. And they had to see how calmly I walked away from them. I took a road trip after that. Nothing dramatic. No, finding myself soundtrack playing in the background. Just the hum of tires and the slow exhale of peace returning to my lungs. I didn't need a destination. I just needed movement. I stopped at a beach 2 states south and watched the sunrise from a driftwood bench. It was quiet. Clean. I sat there for hours with the waves licking the sand and the wind brushing my face. It was the first time in months I didn't think about who she was fucking, or who she thought she was fooling, or what she looked like when I caught her. I just watched the sky change. And I let it change me too. Back home, I moved into the lake cabin permanently. Bought a dog, big, lazy, dumb as a rock, but loyal. I named him Bishop. He doesn't care about my past. Just wants walks and treats and space to nap. I started writing again. Not books. Just notebooks. Thoughts. Observations. The kind of quiet therapy men aren't told they're allowed to have. And sometimes, just sometimes, I let myself remember her. Not the Emma who moaned between 2 men, but the Emma I met at 22, laughing with a cocktail in her hand and no knowledge of how to destroy someone yet. That version of her? She died in the steam of our bathroom. I buried her the moment I smiled and said, I was hoping you'd be open to this. People ask how I forgave her. I didn't. I just stopped needing to. Forgiveness is for healing wounds you want to close. What she gave me wasn't a wound. It was a scalpel. She cut me open. I rebuilt what she left behind. Stronger, sharper, quieter, free.